So, dude, marketing is not your thing. Thank you for not being offended by the title of my talk, by the way. How many of you would agree with this in general? Cool. How many of you say marketing is like totally your thing? All right. Good. And then everybody else is sort of somewhere in the middle? Okay. Well, the reason I wanted to do this talk was because I think we spend so much time as entrepreneurs, because it's sort of in our DNA, to learn new skills and step outside of our comfort zone. And in today's day and age, with all of the tools and things that are out there, that's totally possible. It's totally doable, especially for all of you really super smart people. But it's really not always very practical, because our most precious resource is our time, correct? So that's why I wanted to do the talk. A little bit about me. I am an entrepreneur. I'm actually here to learn as an attendee. I'm a consultant. I help people put together marketing strategy and figure out messaging and all of that good stuff. I'm also a marketing executive. Prior to about a year ago, I left my really good job to get back into being an entrepreneur. I've spent pretty much my whole career going back and forth between working for others and working for myself. And I got zombified. Whoever said that, I think Ben said zombified, in my last job. So I finally quit. But it was a great job, and I learned a ton. I worked for a company called TechSmith, an awesome software company that makes desktop applications. I see some nodding heads. They've been around for a long time. I came on board with the company when they were about $5 million-ish revenue, and was with them through a high growth period all the way up to around 50 million. I was brought on board to put some strategy around the marketing activities that were going on, and in that process I was able to build out a marketing team, make a whole lot of decisions about how to get things done, what to do in-house, what to outsource, all of that stuff. Learned a ton of lessons in the process. So I want to share some of that with you. Back to school real quick. What is marketing? Sort of marketing 101. It is about the 4 Ps, right? Product, price, place, promotion. And I want to start here because I think it's important to remember that marketing is more than just the promotions piece. And especially in a growing software company, we have a tendency, which I lived through, we have a tendency to sort of take marketing and put it off in its little sort of siloed corner. And so it becomes less and less an integral part of the product, price, and place part of the mix. It becomes a promotion piece, right? And I could probably do a whole session on that, but I'm not going to for this talk. I really am going to focus in on promotion. So this is the big problem that I see, and I saw back when I was doing it, and I'm still seeing it today as I'm consulting with businesses and talking with all of you, that there's really just too many things, too many choices, too many options, and not enough time. So it's important that we narrow and focus. Right? We hear a lot of that. I've heard it mentioned in a couple of presentations today. But I want to talk about some techniques for doing that, some ways that I've done that, and some things that might help you. You could be like this kid. Just going to do it all myself. I get like that. But he will poop his pants and cry, and you don't want to be like him, right? So here's my 4 steps. First, set and follow some basic rules. They don't have to be my rules. I'm going to show you what my rules are, but you'll want to set and follow some basic rules. These are some that I've learned over the years. One is, if it's close to the customer or drives revenue, keep it in-house. And there's a simple reason for this, and that is you can't afford to screw either one of these 2 things up, especially as a small business. You can't afford to screw up your customer, and you can't afford to screw up your revenue. So don't be outsourcing this stuff too soon. Stay general early and specialize later. I've heard other people tweet and talk about this stuff too, which is kind of nice to know that I'm not crazy. It's sort of validating. But it's a lot easier to teach a marketing person how to be a specialist from being a generalist than it is to teach a specialist how to be a generalist. For example, if you have a graphic designer, they're probably not going to want to go stand in your trade show booth and talk to customers all day. So start general, specialize later. And I'll get into a little bit more about what is marketing and the specializations later. Hire responsibly. Don't hire and kill people. I almost killed a marketing writer once. Poor guy. He was so good, and he could just do everything. And so I just kept dumping more and more on. And then finally, he came and he's like, "I can't do this anymore." And it was too late. He didn't actually die, but. And I see this with software companies a lot. Imagine you've got your little team of technical people and everything's rocking and rolling, and then you think you're ready for maybe your first marketing person, so you hire that generalist, and it might be a junior person because that's all you can afford. So you bring that person on, and you're all so excited. You take everything that's not technical and you dump it on that person, and that person is overwhelmed. Pretty soon they're doing email marketing and writing and web design, and they're answering the phone and they're getting your pop, and it's bad. So hire responsibly. Another lesson or basic rule is to manage your outsourcing. If you're going to outsource it, manage it. Appoint somebody to be in charge of that relationship. Even if it's yourself, don't just hire somebody and expect that it's all going to get done. All stuff I'm sure you guys can, So number 2 is align your tactics to something that makes sense for your business. Okay, so this is a chart that I use a lot, just to kind of show, so you can sort of get your head around, what is the purpose for all of these activities that you're doing. At the center of any marketing strategy is always your message. It's who you are, what you do, what you make, who you sell it to, why they should care, all of that stuff. That's an area that I love working in. I could probably do a whole thing on that. But I want to talk more about what's around that. It's why do you have that message? Well, you're delivering it for a reason, right? You're delivering it to either raise awareness or generate leads or nurture those leads. And so it's good to stop and take a look at that mix and say, well, do I have the right amount of effort and energy being put into each one of these objectives? Say you're a company that has a high level of awareness, everybody knows about you, but you're not getting any leads. You might want to shift some of your focus into lead gen. And same thing with lead sourcing, so you get it. Then go through the exercise of aligning some tactics for each one of those objectives. This is really helpful. Remember that big massive list of all of those things I showed, or the big collection? This is a really helpful exercise to narrow that collection of tactics and give them a home, okay? It's also totally okay if you have some tactics that overlap in these different objectives. So email marketing is a really good example. I love email marketing. You might have 3 different email programs running at once. You might have one that is intended to raise awareness. Maybe you're buying lists and spamming people, whatever. You might have an email program going for generating leads. Maybe you're doing special offers and so on and so forth. And then you have a lead nurturing email program. Once you get people into your pipeline, then you're sort of nurturing them and moving them along. 3 separate programs, 3 separate tactics, each one with a very distinct purpose, okay? So say you went through that whole exercise and you were able to narrow down your list of things that are available to you to these 4. Cool. Now you need to figure out if you're going to do them internally or if you're going to outsource them. If you do them internally, you need to decide if you're going to do them yourself or if you're going to hire somebody. And if you outsource them, you need to decide if you're going to do an agency or you're going to do a contractor. Well, the good thing is you've already narrowed your list, so you don't have to make all of those decisions. You don't have to analyze all of those for all of those. You only have to do it for those 5. So, number 3, evaluate your options based on fit, how they align with that strategic objectives chart that I showed you earlier, and this stuff. So these are the 5 tactics over on the left, and then there's a key to success for each one of these tactics, and then there's a skill. And when I say skill, it's more like the key skill. Okay. For this mix, let's just pick on one. Let's pick on PR, for instance. The key to success for doing an effective PR campaign is time and commitment to research, plan, and execute. If your company does not have the time to research, plan, and execute on a PR campaign, don't do it. Don't deny it. Don't try to convince the PR people that it really doesn't take that much time. We ought to be able, respect the key to success for the tactic. And then think about the skill that's required to do the tactic. So say your company does have some time and you're willing to invest in PR, take a look at the skill. Is that something that, do you have the sales skill? Because PR really is about outbound sales. I mean, it's about reaching out and forming relationships and nurturing those relationships and that sort of thing. Do you have that skill, or do you need to be looking at an outside resource for that? So I would create a chart like this, and then I would talk to people. Talk to different agencies, talk to contractors, talk to colleagues in this room, talk to anybody you can about those tactics and what are the ways to get those done. What are the successes? What are the potential pitfalls to avoid? If it were me, if I were doing a small software company right now, I would probably do PR. Yeah, I would either not do PR or I would do it with an independent contractor. I wouldn't try to do it myself. It is a specialization, and it's a huge time commitment. Social media, I would probably do it myself or not do it at all. Search engine marketing, I actually think this might be something worth talking to contractors, small agency, that sort of thing. It is about hitting the balance between quantity and quality, and they get all of that. And I think if you're willing to feed them a budget and some guidelines and let them go and let them be free, they'll do a good job for you. If you're kind of a control freak and you like to control spend and all of that stuff, which you might need to because of a financial situation, then you'd want to keep that in-house and do it yourself or hire someone to do it. SEO, I would have to outsource this because this is not an area of expertise for me. You guys could probably do this. I'm sure half of you already are. Email, I think that this would be a great one to keep in-house and do yourself because of the skills that are required for this. It's very strategic and analytical. You have to come up with the strategy and all of that. If you're not so sure about the writing piece, then hire somebody to edit your work or maybe hire somebody to write some content for you. But I think structuring the strategy and figuring out all of that, totally something you could do. So last point is to stay focused. We all have shiny object syndrome in this room, I know. Refer back to your alignment chart every time a new idea comes up. Always be thinking of resourcing and what it really takes to get this stuff done. Remember the key to success and the skills necessary. And learn how to say not now. I think a lot of us think that, oh my God, I either need to do this now or never. Well, that's not true. Just say not now. I'm going to stay focused on my strategy. Here is my strategy. This is what I'm going to do. Talk to me again in a few months. So just a quick recap of my 4 steps for not, what did I do? Pooping your pants and crying like the baby, was to establish some rules, align your tactics to a strategy. Remember those 3 objectives. Evaluate your options based on something like the key to success and the skills, and then stay focused on staying focused. And then you can be like this baby, who obviously did not poop his pants and pee or cry or whatever, I don't know. And then you'll be good to go. Thank you very much. And